A new day had begun. The sun was slowly rising over the farm, and the sky was glowing with the warm colors of morning. The farmer stepped out of his house and headed straight for the barn without hesitation. He knew it was an important day.
Today is the perfect day for harvesting,
He said, walking toward the garage. On the way, he passed his cows, already standing by the fence, curiously watching him. One of them let out a loud moo, as if to say, "Good luck." The farmer smiled to himself. When he reached the barn, he swung open the large wooden doors. In the center, ready for work, stood his green tractor. It gleamed in the morning light, shining through the open doors, almost as if it knew it was about to get to work. He drove up to the header mounted on the trailer. He attached it carefully and precisely. Everything had to be ready for work in the field. Right nearby, in the shade of the barn, stood the combine harvester. Big and ready for action, it was just waiting for the header to be transported. The tractor with the trailer set off first, and the combine slowly followed behind. Together, they left the farm and headed toward the wheat field, which shimmered golden all the way to the horizon. On a quiet farm, the tractor, like every day, set off on its rounds. While driving along the fence, it noticed something disturbing. Several boards in the fence were broken, and in one place a large hole had formed. The tractor knew that it had to act immediately. The farmer who was working with the tractor decided that the fence repair could not wait. Seeing the huge amount of work involved in repairing the fence, he decided that two tractors, one red, the other green, would have to face the task together. Both had their specific roles. One of them was to attach a cyclop loader, and the other a large trailer to bring the wood needed for the repair. Both tractors, ready for action, set off from the yard towards the forest, driving evenly one behind the other. The green tractor with the cyclop loader attached, the red tractor pulling a large trailer. Cooperation was key. Each tractor had its own task, which had to be carried out precisely. After reaching the place in the forest, both tractors started working. The green tractor with the cyclop loader immediately started lifting huge logs of wood that were waiting to be loaded. The trunks were huge, but Cyclop easily managed to load them. Once the logs were loaded onto the trailer, the red tractor headed for the sawmill. The road was straight, and the tractor rode calmly, pulling a heavy load. Once at the sawmill, the wood was to be processed into the necessary boards to repair the fence. The tractor knew that its task was important, because without these boards it would be impossible to secure the farm from intruders. Then the logs were put on a conveyor belt, where specialist sawmill machines began processing them. Powerful saws cut the wood precisely, and then smoothing machines gave the boards the right shape and smoothness. The process was quick and precise. It was obvious that the sawmill was well prepared for such tasks. The tractor was ready to be loaded. The boards quickly found their place on the trailer, and the tractor happily headed back to the farm, ready to finish repairing the fence. I welcome you to my animated farm. playground equipment most often includes a sandbox, a slide, a swing, a carousel, a spring rocker, ladders, a basketball court, and other play sets. Benches are placed around the square for guardians of children playing. There will be lighting lamps and green plants on the corners. Playgrounds are most often built in the vicinity of the farm fell silent. Snow had been falling all night, covering everything in a thick white layer. The roads, the yard, and even the access road to the cowshed were covered in snow, and the animals were waiting for their feed. A red tractor was parked in the garage. It was ready for action, although it had been resting for a long time after the autumn work. The snow creaked under its massive tires as the engine came to life, and the tractor slowly drove out into the yard. The first challenge was to get to the barn, where the snowplow was standing. The barn was on the other side of the farm, and the road to it was completely covered in a thick layer of snow. The tractor, although ready for action, had to first face snowdrifts to reach the implement that would allow it to effectively clear the snow. With the plow mounted on the front, the tractor was now a real giant, ready to fight the winter elements. He turned around in the snowy yard and headed out to begin clearing the snow from the farm.
Oh, no!
Red, green, pink, blue, orange, black.